Welcome to the Play It By Ear podcast. The podcast where the topics may vary because, hey, we play it by ear. And now your hosts, Eric Fiskus, Brady Liming, and Todd Griffin.
Welcome to episode 11 of the Play It By Ear podcast. Eric Fiskus here with you, along with Brady Liming.
Hello, hello.
And Todd Griffin.
Hey, hey.
As always, the basis of our show is we all bring a topic to the table, and we discuss that topic for 20 minutes, and the conversation is unrehearsed. So it is a Play It By Ear conversation. That's the basis of the name of the show. And as always, we appreciate you joining us. Again, you can find us. Of course, you found us already, but other places you can find us, or all the places, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify seems to be our biggest outlet. Also, our main page is anchor.fm/Play It By Ear podcast. And on that page, you have the ability to leave us a voice message, which we can then put into our podcast. So we have one today from Mr. Matt Young, a very good friend of mine, and Matt has some musings for you. So Matt, take it away.
Hey guys, am I on? Is this Play It By Ear? Is it a podcast? Oh, okay. Do you guys think Scott Hadberg's a good player? Because I think he's overrated. What do you guys think? Am I on? Guys? Are you guys wearing shirts? All right, you guys have a good one.
Thank you very much, Matt. And I will say just for myself, I will not speak for my two compatriots here, but I am wearing a shirt. I always wear a shirt. I am as pasty white as they come because you will not see me shirtless unless you're in the shower with me, and you will not be in the shower with me. So there you go. Gentlemen, I'm assuming you are with shirt as well.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes, Lloyd, there's a chance.
I am wearing a shirt, and gentlemen, I know you guys would appreciate my shirt. You may be able to see it, but I'm wearing the Reagan Bush 84 campaign T-shirt.
Nice choice.
Old school.
Yes, sir.
I'm wearing a shirt from my favorite author. One of my favorite authors, Tim Dorsey, references one of his characters. Check it out; it's great. But I do want to say I'm not wearing pants. That's.
I believe I'm missing a sock. I think the cat took off with it a little bit ago.
Well, we won't get into the socks, but anywho, like I said, we all bring a topic to the table. We always rotate who's going first in each of the topics, and tonight it is Brady's turn to start us off. Brady, what do you have?
Yes. Well, I decided to kick it a little bit old school here. With the end of each decade, we're entering a new one, 2020. People like to get reflective about, stuff that they wore, what fashions have changed. And this is a nostalgic-based podcast a lot of the time, so I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about what we wore in the 80s and 90s, and more specifically, oh my gosh, did we really wear that? And we knew, did they wear that? So it's always kind of a fun trip down memory lane and think about your fashion do's and don'ts from your youth. So I want to kick this one off. You can't talk about the 1980s without one of the most iconic looks from the 80s. And gentlemen and listeners, I am talking about parachute pants. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, parachute pants. For the uninitiated, they were usually a nylon-based pant with many zippers in random places. And
now, by the way, now I want to interject here.
Yes.
We had something going on in the 80s with parachutes. And I don't know what that was, but even in phys ed class, we would play with the parachute.
That is true.
And then we wore them as pants. So I don't know what was going on with that. And it seems to have gone away because I don't know if people play in phys ed class in elementary school with
They do.
parachutes nowadays, or do they?
They do. They do. Especially during staff lunches. We like to escape out. No, for real, but they do play with the parachutes. And I would like to say you always knew it was a wonderful day when the gym door swung open and you saw the parachutes.
Yes, I was going to say, Coach Kaiser with the box beside his feet, and you knew what was in that box. It was the parachute. It was the chute. I believe it was green. Was it green? Like an army green?
It was.
Maybe some orange. Maybe some burnt sienna or some white in there.
Some yellow ochre to get all Bob Ross. Some titanium white.
I'm glad you brought that up, Eric. That's maybe a new topic sometimes, our favorite phys ed games and stuff. But
that would be a good topic.
I would like to just finish off, Eric, when we were talking about how Mr. Kaiser must have felt, with the magic box there. He kind of felt like he was in that moment of 7. What's in the box? What's in the box? And it was all, the parachute. So
Brady, real quick, gentlemen, refresh my memory on the parachute pants, because you mentioned, for those who don't know, you mentioned that they had zippers in various places. I can't remember though. Were the zippers? Did they just go through to your skin, or did they go through to was there a layer in? But was it like a regular pocket where there was a layer between? I can't remember.
It was like a false pocket, like a faux pocket. I won't combine those together, but it was like. I almost did it.
TV. What'd you say, Todd? You can get away with one of those in a PG-13.
I'll say it. So you had a focket.
Yes, or a focket.
Clean. That's as clean as it gets.
Yes,
that's your one.
There you go. And but yeah, it was like to the layer of material or fabric. It didn't go all the way to your skin, but you really couldn't put anything in it, like change or notes or if you snuck a snack out of the lunchroom. But no, but they were just kind of there for they were adornments, and they were in random places.
So, and on that note also, so I'm getting into these things we had in the 80s. What was it with the fake pockets? Because now I may be getting ahead of you here, because one of the main fashion things of the 80s was the Michael Jackson jacket.
With the multiple
all those zippers on the top, but they weren't pockets; they were just zippers.
Yeah, and
what was it with the false pockets in the 80s?
Well, I don't think it was as much about the false pockets as it was the zippers. The zipper itself was a
shiny.
It was shiny. It contrasted the black or the red leather. That's going to be my guess, because rhinestones were very 70s.
Now I had the Michael Jackson jacket, but I didn't have you're talking about the Beat It jacket.
Yes.
Right? I'm talking about
Correct.
the Thriller jacket with the it had the V kind of it was red with the black, but I had black with gray. And I always thought that my mom bought me a knockoff Michael Jackson jacket, but I happened to see a poster of Michael Jackson wearing a black and gray. It was the exact same cut, exact same, coat in the Thriller, or jacket as in the Thriller video, but it was black with a gray V-shaped stripe on it. So that's all I needed to know, that I had a legit Michael Jackson jacket.
Your childhood was
Michael Jackson
vindicated.
posters.
To throw
You
it
loved
back.
your mom that much more when you found out she got you an authentic jacket.
That's right.
Well, do you think it said Michael Jackson with 2 N's? Michael Jackson, to throw it back to the Batman.
The only way it was said that is if you bought it at Sardinia Founders Day.
That is true.
Jackson with 2
Well,
N's.
you remember the smaller sized Air Jordans when they first came out, and they said Sky Jordan on them. I remember that distinctly. It wasn't an off brand. I don't know what it was, but back then, I think somebody will probably look this up and prove me wrong, and maybe I did just have knockoffs. But I could have swore that the kids' sizes of Air Jordans when they first came out said Sky Jordan on them.
I did not know that.
Could be.
Much like the Converse weapons since I'm a Larry Bird fan, Converse weapons, these small sizes, I believe, were called revolvers. I believe they were called Converse revolvers.
Interesting.
That is
Now,
interesting.
you were younger than us considerably. So, I mean, 6 years when you're a kid, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I can't really say as to what the baby Jordan shoes were called. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time they came out, we were what, Brady? Probably 13, 14?
Yeah,
like
I
that?
remember the first ones that came out because they were the red, black, and white ones, and then they came out with just the red and black ones, not to be confused with the knockoff Air Jordans, which we always jokingly called Air Buddies because they were red, black, and white like the Air Jordans, but they weren't. And I don't know who coined the term Air Buddy at first, but they were close enough. Probably about $80
not the
cheaper.
Nikes. It was the equivalent of the Coming to America McDonald's Golden Arches versus the Golden Arcs. So on your Air
McDowell's.
Buddies, you didn't have the swoosh. You had, I don't know what
The
the
whoosh.
thing was called, but something like that. It was not the swoosh. It was some other shape, but it was similar.
Just do that. Sorry, that hit my funny bone and I got choked up.
So,
But
did we all own parachute pants? Brady, I know you own parachute pants.
I
Yeah.
owned one pair of parachute pants, and they had zippers right in the middle of the thigh. And God blessed me with big thighs, and the not fat per se, but they're muscular. But even that, it was very uncomfortable. Like you could not, or I could not, let me say, pull the pants up to a level as to where I wanted them because those zippers would have given my leg gangrene had I tried to.
So when you took them off, did it look like you'd had stitches like staples? Did it leave
Yes.
marks? Oh man,
Yes, it was awful. I did not wear those pants very often, maybe even twice, something like that. It was just not good. And I will say about this whole topic that I had my own fashion in the 80s and it was awful. It was not along the lines of what was fashionable. It was a different track and it was awful. So I'll just say that about myself. I will own it.
It wasn't awful. It was yours.
Well, it was mine, all right. I could not deny it. It was awful.
Yeah, I can't imagine I had good fashion in the 80s. I mean, would have been anywhere from 3 to 10 years old, or 3 to 13 years old, I guess, 3 to 12, something like that in the 80s. So I can't imagine I was much of a dresser.
Well, but it's one thing to be fashionable because the fashion itself was not good. But if you look like everybody else, that's one thing. I didn't look like everybody else. I had a separate awful track. Everyone else was on an awful track. I had made my own separate awful track.
Oh man, I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself there, man. But hey, you talk about kids, like kids' fashions. I gotta, this goes actually a little bit before the 80s. We can't not talk about Garanimals. Did you ever own Garanimals?
No.
No.
Not that I remember.
Well,
I have pictures of myself in various gaudy.
Garanimalia.
I mean, it was the wide lapel 70s type of wear, leisure suit sort of wear.
Yeah.
I don't think they were Garanimals, though. Not that I remember.
What is a Garanimal?
By the way, Brady, tell people what Garanimals are if they're not familiar. I don't even know if they still make them anymore.
They do actually. Well, don't let me forget to mention this, Eric, because there is a modern incarnation of it. But what Garanimals were, they were kids' clothes that there was a color of animal on the tag that you bought. So if you were really fashion challenged or your parents were really fashion challenged, all they had to do was match up the animals. So the red and white tiger shirts would go with the red and white tiger pants. And I'm not saying that they were red and white tiger stripe, but you match the animal, which gets to the hilarious part about my Garanimal experience. There's this really god-awful picture of me, when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And it looked like a salad shooter. It exploded on me. I was wearing about 3 or 4 different shades of green and orange and white and yellow. And my sister and I got to laughing, and my mom's like, "How on earth did you look and dress me?" He's like, they were granimals. All you had to do was like match the little animals. And she's like, "Oh, you had to match the animals?" So it's like she missed the memo on the matching the animals, but it was pretty darn funny. It was
so what did she do? She just picked two animals she liked and put them together?
that I don't know, but I can tell you the picture. Maybe I'll have to dig this up and put it on the website. But it was plaid.
Oh, I think you definitely need to do that.
Oh yeah. Hey, if I would embarrass myself by putting me coming out of a rhino's butt, I could put a granimal picture up. But it was like green, yellow, orange checked plaid bell bottoms, and I was wearing the top of the t-shirt was like a dark green. The body part was like a yellow green putrid color, and it had white and orange and dark green, and it said jock in triplicate. And it's like somehow I think I don't know.
Where was the word strap?
I couldn't find that one. Probably on my granimal underwear. But it was just like it was funny but it was like, who knows? I could have put it on myself. I just, how kids are, they'll throw anything on to get out the door quick. But it was a pretty hysterical picture because, like I said, I looked like a mismatched salad.
I can tell you, I don't remember having them. I'd have to ask my parents, but I will say this. My dad would have not had the patience to match up two animals for a matching outfit. He would not been. It would have been you grab a pair of pants and a shirt, and you go with it. You don't flip.
So how often was your dad in charge of dressing you?
That's true. He it's always funny because as I got a little older and started, especially basketball shoes, things like that, I always liked going shopping with my dad because my mom would always try to talk me into going, buying something cheaper, or how about this one? How about these shoes? These, where my dad was like, I want you to get in the store, get what you want, and get out. I mean, it wasn't so much as he wanted to maybe buy the more expensive thing; he just did not want to be there. So I would always beg him to take me like shoe shopping and stuff.
Yeah.
Way to play the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. But on the final footnote of Granimals, the reason I brought it up was that I guess they have adult Granimals now for nostalgia's sake. So I'm going to have to check this out. But somebody told me they have now adult Granimals for us Gen Xers that grew up on Granimals.
Really?
But,
nice.
Yes. Which brings me to the next fashion don't. Jorts. We can't talk about the 80s and the 90s without talking about the jean short.
Is it bad that I still have jean shorts that I wear?
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Brady, you can be honest with me. I'm okay with it.
Well, I've seen them come back ironically a little bit, but the heyday of the jean short, the jort, where they kind of come down just above the knee, or the going back to the 80s, I had my Bugle Boy jorts that were had the pink and black checks up the side on one seam and the orange checks up the other side. So nice. Yeah, the jort was a fashion statement back then. In fact, you even had your homemade jorts that my friend Doug lovingly took a pair of his jeans, cut them off, nailed them to a tree, and shotgun blasted them. So they would have holes in them, so you could wear your spandex bicycle shorts underneath of them with a contrasting color.
So but you could not wear those to school.
You could not wear those to school. My 8th grade daughter was horrified when I told her that I got sent to the office because I had a hole in the knee of my jeans, and I had to go safety pin them up or take F's for the day.
I only remember one day in my high school career where we could wear shorts. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, we weren't allowed
one
to.
One day.
Nope.
I remember one day.
What was that day?
It was Shorts Day. I don't know why it was deemed Shorts Day, but you could wear shorts to school.
That was a rare treat.
George Day.
It was George Day.
George Day.
So,
me, it's probably Coach's Shorts Day. But.
There you go. And about the only person that, really rocks out and makes the jorts his own today is John Cena. And, it's kind of like jorts have kind of got to be, kind of a dad joke kind of thing. Like your dad uniform as you're wearing your jorts and your white New Balance shirts let me try that again. White New Balance shoes while grilling. And then you have,
my
your
19-year-old
t-shirt tucked
son
into your
gives me
jorts.
relentless, just awful, hard time about my jorts.
Oh, does
And
he?
I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah,
You've earned that right, man.
Like I said, my fashion has always been awful all my life. I own it. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me.
Brady, you're forgetting that the white New Balance shoes, though, they won't stay white all summer. They turn green from mowing the yard. You got to make sure that.
That's right. And you got to match
nice
your
dad
animal
stain
shorts to match the grass stain.
2.5 minute warning, by the way.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Todd, we had kind of discussed briefly, and I'm going to kick it to you on this. There was an 80s fashion craze, and I kind of remember it when I was in 6th grade. A couple years later, these things were still around, and these were painter's hats. And you had a special kind of painter hat, didn't you?
I do. I remember a special kind of painter's hat, and I don't know if if you could get these everywhere, but I remember at Kings Island buying a painter's hat, and it was the King Cobra, the roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
And it had behind it was like a head tuxedo. It had tails coming down from the back of the hat, just 2 strips of cloth that I'm assuming kept the back of your neck from getting sun-boined, and just was for protection. Didn't really look great, but I don't know if anyone else remembers those, but I had one of those hats.
I'm gonna call it the French Foreign Legionnaire hat that you see in movies where somebody's trekking across the desert with their commander is wearing a pith helmet, and the rest of the minions are wearing like the French Legionnaires hats with the flaps to keep their neck from burning in the Sahara. So
I would love to still have that hat. I bet I could find one on eBay. The one fashion thing that comes to my mind, though, along the same thing with shorts or jorts or whatever, just that topic. And Eric, you and I have talked about this a lot, is basketball. I was a basketball player from 3rd grade all the way through graduation. And when I remember the most memorable shorts that I remember were junior high. And the sad thing is they were new uniforms. My 7th grade year, we got brand new uniforms, and we had those for 7th and 8th grade. And you still spent a tremendous amount of time on the court picking them out of various places.
Orifices in your body.
Yeah. And I remember, and this came to me the other day. I was watching some basketball clips from ESPN, and the celebrating now has gotten pretty intense, and no one can make a 3-pointer now without holding up the 3-point symbol and showing off going down the court. Which okay, that's fine. But when I was in junior high, I would have loved to have done that after making a 3, but I was too busy pulling the shorts out of the crack of my ass going down the court after shooting the ball, where because when you would shoot, it would pull up your shirt that was tucked into your shorts that was also skin tight, and pull the shorts on up. And Eric, I know you have. We can extend the time here if you ask me, because I know you have something to say about this, because that trend continued. As I went into high school, usually it was hand-me-downs. Like when we were freshmen, we got the old varsity uniforms, and then JV, I think it was maybe my junior year when we got new uniforms again, and they were comfortable shorts. They were before the Fab Five in Michigan kind of started the real long and baggy short trend, so they came down to maybe an inch or so from our knees, and they were comfortable.
So when I was a freshman in high school, I actually wore the same uniform, and not the exact same number, but the same style uniform that my brother wore as a senior in high school. Now, I was a freshman in 85, 86. He graduated high school in 76. So literally a 10-year-old uniform. And the 70s style. I mean, they were shorter than they were of these uniforms you're talking about. So, I mean, you want to talk... You didn't spend any time picking it out of anywhere because it was already up in there when you put them on. There was no picking it out. It was already there, and it was staying there.
If you went into a defensive stance, you had to worry about bubblegum showing, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was
There's nothing left to the imagination there.
the kind of shorts where like the crotch was lower than the legs.
Yes.
Like one of those Jane Fonda workout videos.
I'll say no to that because there was nothing low about those shorts anywhere.
True.
The crotch, I mean the nape of your top of your thigh, or I mean, it was up in there, it was up in the back, it was up everywhere.
Excuse me, coach, while I pick these shorts out of my pancreas.
And when you're sitting on the bench, I mean, people on the stage are probably getting a show because I mean, it just all disappears up in everywhere. Not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. And we seem to have gone to where the shorts are creeping back up. And for whatever reason, it was this year, the kids started like folding the waistband of the short over so they could pull it up more.
Yeah.
And I went to a lot of basketball games because I broadcasted them on the radio, and I'd look at that, and I spent my whole childhood wanting a pair of basketball shorts that was comfortable and did not go up my leg. And these kids are purposely doing it, and I just sat there and couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
But I guess, things come and things go. But
do you guys remember, speaking of pockets, I just thought of this, Brady, when you were talking about the pockets. What about Ruse? Kangaroo shoes.
Oh, yeah.
When I was, I don't know, kindergarten, first, second, third grade, my mom, with my lunch money, lunch was $1 and I believe $1 and a dime. I remember it being $1 and a quarter. But my mom had this special way of folding my lunch money. She would fold the quarter up, the coin into the, inside the dollar, and make it all about, I don't know, maybe inch by inch, square.
Yeah.
And
she origamied the dollar around the quarter.
Yeah. I haven't tried that. I might try. But anyway, the point I was making is I remember having a pair of kangaroo shoes, and they had the pocket on the side of them. And when my mom would fold my lunch money that way, it fit perfectly in that kangaroo pocket.
I had a pair of Carolina
Sandy was
Blue
very
Roos.
resourceful.
I don't know if she knew that. I mean, I just would put it there. I'm sure she did, and probably kept me from losing my lunch money a lot because it was folded so small that it might have been easy to lose had it not been for the ruse.
Yeah. I said I had the sky blue.
Nice alliteration, or I guess that's
Yes,
rhyming.
yes.
Did you guys own ruse?
I did.
No.
I did.
I did not. Again, I was on my own fashion track. I did not own ruse.
LA Gears?
Oh, LA Gear. I forgot about LA Gear. And that had a big endorsement, too, because that was Joe Montana's brand.
British Knights?
He was the pitchman. British Knights, yes.
No.
Yes.
These are all just jumping in my head, these shoe brands from the 80s and 90s, I remember.
Those are the big ones. They're still around, but in the 80s, K-Swiss was a big deal for a while.
Yeah.
Which is the white.
So you've named like 5 different brands of shoes, and I'm saying no to all of it. I never had any of those things.
I'm wondering what you wore.
I had the Air Buddies, whatever brand those were. But
I remember you having a pair of like a black. They might have been ponies or pumas, but they were super shiny.
They were ponies.
Ooh, pony.
They were ponies, and they were patent leather, and I got relentlessly dogged out for wearing those shoes.
They were black
shoes,
with
and
white.
I still resent it to this day. They were patent leather, and I liked them. And everyone else gave me the business.
Were they black with a white stripe?
Yes, they were.
I remember you wearing those. Did you have those when you were a little older? Like, were they shiny?
No.
I
Yeah, they're
had
very
them in
shiny.
high school. I may have put them in my closet and then gotten them back out at some point. But
I remember seeing them at some point.
I remember wearing them to the holiday tournament at Western Brown, and I remember getting relentlessly teased. And I don't know if I wore them again in high school after that. Maybe I brought them out later, like I said.
Yeah.
But I liked those shoes. And again, I was on my own fashion track, and it was bad. But I guess I just could not stand up to the teasing.
See, those would have looked really good with the fashion sense that I remember them, or the fashion trend that I remember the most, 8th, 9th grade, and that is pegging your jeans. And I know anyone out there that went to school
Brady
with me.
pegged his jeans in the late 80s.
Huh?
Brady pegged his jeans in the late 80s.
I have to clarify that it was actually 1990 is when I learned about the gene pegging my freshman year of college.
Tomato.
Yeah,
Tomato, tomato.
But and that was a pain because like once you got used to do it and that fashion trend went out, it felt like I was wearing huge bell bottoms afterwards when like just the regular falling of the jeans to the shoes. But yeah, the peg jeans were a thing.
Well,
And,
the pegs made you. The problem with the pegs though is they caused extra stress and work throughout the day because you never could peg your pants in the AM and they just lasted all day. So it was constantly repegging it, retightening it, and then when high tops got so like when basketball season was over and you'd wear your high tops after. When you put your peg in there, you had your high top, your peg. Well, it was several inches up your calf before where your pant ended up. Because of the high tops,
like knickers, like knickers.
Yeah.
But
good topic.
Yep,
good topic.
And we could have gone on and on with that. I think
we could have, and we encourage our listeners. What fashion trends do you remember from your youth? Excuse me, your youth. Who am I kidding? That we say that all the time. Please send us a message. What do you remember wearing? What was your fashion do's? What was your fashion don'ts? What do you want to wear? What do you wish you could still wear? And what will you never wear again? Thankfully,
send pictures.
Never say never. Yeah, Brady, we want to see that picture.
Yeah, I'll have to
dig
it out.
Of your mismatched granimals.
In my mismatched granimals. It was a granima stick.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Liming. On to topic 2. So, topic 2 is Would You Rather? A round of Would You Rather.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, the way this is going to work, gentlemen, is we will go back and forth between the two of you. Now, both of you will answer each Would You Rather, but I'll just allow each of you to take turns selecting the category of the Would You Rather. So the Would You Rather questions come in 5 categories. And those categories are funny, good, hard, deep, or weird. So,
can we get... sorry, Fiscus. Can we get a... Funny is pretty self-explanatory. I think weird is self-explanatory.
Yes.
Deep, I'm assuming it just means it's very...
Philosophical, moral question.
Okay, and
maybe hard would be there as well. Just a moral, philosophical. Deep may take a little bit of cognitive jogging on your part.
And then the second one was good?
Good.
Okay.
I'm
ready.
Giving you the... You're ready. Okay. So we drew numbers backstage. Todd, you get to go first.
All right. I think it would be pretty fitting of me to go with... I'm going to go with weird.
Weird. You threw a curveball at me. I thought for sure you were going to go funny.
I thought about that.
Started to move my list.
I think weird could be funny.
Well, it can be. I guess we'll decide. All right, Todd. Starting with you.
Okay.
Would you rather your shirts always be 2 sizes too big or 1 size too small?
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
So my shirts always be 2 sizes too big or 1 size too small. Is that what you said?
Yes.
All right. So I'll get into this quickly. There were several years ago, if anyone is a good friend of mine, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, I kind of really got into fitness and lost several, like 40 pounds and really just started, and it took us about a 10-year process of going from learning more about, fitness and things to eating, to being a clean eater. And then here a few years back, I started falling off the wagon and here I am today, not doing any of that stuff. But I say that to say this, I really started learning about how, you tend to want to wear a bigger shirt to hide if you feel like you know that you are overweight or whatever. And in actuality, it kind of does the opposite of that some. So what I started learning is buying something a little more fitted while being a little uncomfortable actually probably looked better. And I think that trend, I think that I still stick with that. I think that I may be a little uncomfortable wearing a shirt that's one size too small, but I would rather try to get into that shirt that's one size too small than make the shirt that's two sizes too big fitted. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So I think, so I'm going to go with one size too small, but I definitely do that kind of knowing that I would be probably uncomfortable, but maybe look better. I mean, hate for vanity to come in there, but I think I would look better in a shirt one size too small than to wear a size two sizes too big. Brady?
Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to go with the opposite one. I think I'm gonna have to go two sizes too big, because I'm thinking that at least I could layer it up with something underneath of it, puff it out a little bit somehow. But I don't want to look like an early millennium rapper where everything was 50 sizes too big in the shirts and the pants and everything. But, I'm going to go with the comfort. I could let vanity come into it a good ways, but I hate wearing a shirt that feels too tight, but I'm going to have to go two sizes too big, and I'm going to try to dress it up somehow.
Well, and I think men are notorious. I mean, not all men, of course. I don't mean to offend you out there if you're a male and you're a good dresser, but a lot of men are not are poor dressers. And one of the things I think men tend to do is wear clothes that are they don't fit them. Suits, things like that. You see a person wearing a suit and the jacket, is too big on them or whatever, or pants too big. So I think we have a tendency to always go bigger because it's more comfortable, like you said, Brady.
Yeah, as my grandmother would say, it would look like a sack on a sow. So
now I may chime in or I may not chime in on some of these things. I will chime in on this one because it connects back to a conversation we just had. I will always go two sizes too big because of the claustrophobic feeling that my old basketball uniforms used to give me. Not just the shorts, but the jerseys and the nylon jersey that just kind of clung to you, and you spent pulling down your short legs and pulling the jersey out, and it was always a very claustrophobic feeling. I don't like to feel claustrophobic in my clothes, so therefore it will always be two sizes too big.
I get
Makes sense.
Brady, categories: funny, good, hard, deep, or weird.
I think I'm gonna go. Let's go funny. We've been on the clothing and fashion. Let's lighten it up a little bit.
Fair enough. Funny it is. Okay, Brady, your funny question is, would you rather, and here we are on shirts again, would you rather every shirt you ever wear be kind of itchy, or only be able to use one-ply toilet paper?
Well, man, itchy shirts or one-ply toilet paper. This is going to be easy because I'm just going to go with one-ply toilet paper because there's no rule saying I can't take that one-ply toilet paper off the roll and double-ply it, but you can't avoid an itchy shirt where you feel like, an alpaca with fleas. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to definitely go with the toilet paper on that one. Enough said.
Todd?
Yeah, I was thinking, I think I'm going to go with Brady. I hate itching. And someone, I have sensitive skin, always have. And so I itch a lot anyway. But I think like Brady said, you can MacGyver some single ply TP and make it work if you if you happen to jit your jorts and you need some help. I think you can make do with a single ply, but it's very uncomfortable to get through a day with an itchy shirt. Like you get a haircut. And you know how you get a haircut if you try to wear the shirt for very long after the haircut, how that feels on the back of your neck and in your back and stuff. I can't take that.
That's why you asked for the powder. That's why you asked for the powder.
Yeah, you shouldn't even have to ask.
Powder that up.
You shouldn't have to ask.
Talc it up.
Well, no, you kind of do have to ask, because in the 80s, asking for the powder had a totally different meaning, I guess, according to the movies. So, I never asked for the powder because I'm
movies
afraid.
Than I was.
But I'm going single ply TP.
I gotta throw this to you, Todd. So if you didn't want to chit your jorts, if you're wearing,
it's jit your jorts.
Yes, chit your jorts. What?
No, it's not chit your jorts. It's jit your jorts.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. But so, what if you had? If you were wearing parachute pants, would it be you had a parachute accident? Parachute pants.
I think it would.
Something like that.
Sorry.
All right, Brady.
No, that's
Todd's,
I think.
It? Todd?
Yep.
Funny, good, hard, deep, or weird?
I'm going to go deep.
Go deep. All right. Your question. Would you rather be held in high regard by your parents or your friends?
Man. So, I'm assuming here if it can only be one or the other, because that's the name of the game.
Yes.
Well, it's not the name, but that's the idea of the game. So I'm guessing let's just say I pick my friends, that will mean that my parents would not hold me in high regard.
Correct.
I'm going to have to go parents. Anyone who knows me knows that I talk to my dad quite often. I talk to my mom a lot too, but my dad quite often. And it's kind of funny, but I don't make any decision without calling him. And obviously I make some decisions, but any bigger decision, anything like that, I call him. And I think that I do that to get the reassurance, but also because I still somewhat feel like I don't want to let my parents down. And it's weird, but at almost 43 years old, it still means a lot to me to make them feel proud and to want them to be proud of me. And I think I want them to hold me in high regard more than my friends. I don't care what
Brady?
You guys think of me.
See, that's why I'm so surprised it took you so long to answer, because I figured you knew your friends don't hold you in high regard already. So.
You kind of said it exactly, Todd. This won't take me very long, but I figure, you guys have known me forever, most of my life, and you know that I eat food with handles and, have strange habits and tendencies, and you don't hold me in high regard. But no, yeah, I'm going to definitely go. I want my parents to hold me in high regard. My mom, I still check in, and shoot, I was just bragging today. I felt like the little kid that come home from kindergarten with a gold star. It's like, hey, I installed lights and I didn't kill myself, So, and I called mom. So, so definitely I go with you on that one, Todd.
So I'll chime in there as well. Agreed on all three fronts. Same reason. Ditto.
That reminded me real quick. Just a real quick story is my dad texts now. And so this morning I saw something on Facebook, and it was if you just picture it, it's a father and a son sitting down having a conversation. And the dad says, "Son, one day you'll be a man." And the dad says, the son says, "Dad, I'm 32." And the dad says, "But the AutoZone guy had to change your wiper blades." So I sent that to my dad and my brother, and I said, "Why does this sound like something that you would say to me, Dad?" And he got he said, "I guess the truth hurts, doesn't it?" Is what my dad said. And then he admitted to the fact that he has the AutoZone guy now put his wiper blades on when he goes. So there's no shame in that. It's free.
I resemble that remark.
Sorry, go ahead.
Brady.
I think I'm going to flip the script. Let's go weird. I did funny. Let's go back to weird. I want to see what kind of weirdness gets thrown at me.
Back to weird. back to Weird It Is. Would you rather find $5 on the ground or find all of your missing socks?
Ooh. I guess I'm looking at the time frame here. Like all of my missing socks, like since birth. I mean, are they going to back up a truck and dump 5,000 socks on me? Or
even baby booties? Yes, everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's my Alf socks. But no, I think no, I'm going to go $5 on the ground.
Too.
Okay, I just lost them last week, but no, I think I'm going to go $5 on the ground. Finding socks, that just doesn't hold much. I'm pretty hard on socks anyway. My feet wear through socks. They have a short shelf life, so if they're missing, they probably ran away from the abuse. So I'm going to go with finding $5 on the ground.
Todd, are you hard on socks, or do you have a different answer?
I am. I'm pretty hard on socks. I have a lot of socks. You can ask my wife. I say at least once a week, I've got to organize this sock drawer. It's just a mess. But with that being said, I think because of that, I already have a lot of socks. And I'm going to be honest with you. There are certain days where I don't give a darn whether my socks match or not, or things like that. If they're going to show, obviously, I want them to. But I'm going to go with $5. I'm just going to save time. Go with $5. Yeah, I'm good.
So my answer is this. I'll qualify this answer. I currently have a tall laundry. What do you call those things? Clothes basket. It's a tall one, not a wide one. A tall one.
Okay.
1/4 full of socks with no matches. And this bothers me to a great extent. If I could only find matches for those socks, I would disregard the $5 on the ground just to match those socks up. Because this pile, sometimes the pile grows and it gets smaller, but there's always a core group of socks that I will not throw away because eventually I'm going to find the match. And at times, it absorbs my life trying to find matches to these socks.
Let me throw this at you. If I can make a weird topic or a weird choice into the deep option, what if you were to take every sock in that basket and throw it away?
Which is what I should do.
You're done. Your time is not occupied anymore. Now
I'll know that I failed. I failed in my quest to find the matches to these socks.
We need to explore this topic psychologically, Eric. This has a different meaning.
I feel about socks the way I think I did episode 1 or 2 or 3 back when we first started this. And I told you how if money wasn't an option, I would buy new underwear every year. I would never wear the same pair of underwear twice. And I'm kind of the same way as socks. I would just replenish them, and certainly wouldn't chase them about the house or wherever they end up and stress over it. But I get it. It's very stressful when you don't know where they go.
And this is something I should not waste my brain time on, but I do, and I don't know why I do. There are other things that don't absorb my thinking that are similar, but don't. I can't explain that. I don't know what happened back in my childhood that made me obsess over finding the matches to my socks. Now, it's not just my socks. My wife has many more socks than I have, and a lot of those are hers, but it bothers me.
My 5-year-old daughter, it's amazing how quickly she could lose a sock. She will just peel off the socks willy-nilly. You'll find one in the kitchen and one like on the trampoline in the backyard. And it's so random. I've just found, so she ends up mixing and matching her socks frequently because it's a necessity because, I'm sure I'm going to be cleaning the leaves out of the gutter and I'm going to find one of her socks up there.
Eric, another option, you could buy a taller clothes basket and it wouldn't look as full.
And a step stool.
That could be my second option. You are correct. All right, Todd, back to you.
All right.
Last round.
So we've done weird, we've done deep, we've done funny, right?
Yes.
We haven't done Let's Go Hard.
All righty then. Hard it is. Okay, Todd, would you rather? Let me find it here. Would you rather clean rest stop toilets or work in a slaughterhouse for a living?
Oh,
Here's the deal. I don't know that this is as hard as I'm going to make it easy. I would rather clean rest stop toilets. No shame in that game. That's an important job, and I think that I would enjoy knowing that I had that important job, because everyone knows when you're traveling and you need to take care of business. Brady, how do you
intestinal distress while traveling?
And to use another Bradyism, if you need to make a deposit,
do your business.
You know how good it feels to walk into a clean and fresh and a well-kempt roadside, rest area. So, and on top of that, I love animals. Don't get me wrong, I eat meat, but I can never look at an animal in that job that you mentioned. I can never look at the animal and actually go through with that. So I'm cleaning toilets all day.
Brady?
Dittos to the point of every utterance he just said, I could have said. So to keep from repeating everything, Todd, you just basically read my mind.
That's why I use your words.
There you go.
Agreed on all three fronts once again. And I'll go along with what you say about that being a very important job, because it's a very unsung job. But when you're driving like we do often to Illinois, that's where my wife's family lives, and you want to stop at a rest area, do your business, you don't want to be in a dirty place.
Yeah.
No, and we've all been there. The traveling and, with if it's just, even if you're just going in there quickly, to, not conduct a lot of commerce, but just the quick in and out. But everybody has gone into that bathroom, that rest stop bathroom or public, toilet that is just so horrible. And you just feel so bad for the people inside those stalls, because they have to be doing the hover action because they don't want to get typhoid from sitting on a, one of those fouled toilet seats. So, yeah.
That reminds me real quick. The other day I was talking to a female friend of mine, and it was a meme that I found, and it said something about the real reason why girls go to the bathroom together. And I can't even describe the way these girls work. One girl was kind of like squatting over the toilet, holding onto the other girl who had her legs up on they were basically in like a gym, like a cheerleading position. A cheer pyramid.
It was a group hover.
Yeah. And this friend of mine said, yeah, that's very accurate. Otherwise, I'm having to build a nest. And I just thought that was the funniest way to put it. And it makes me feel for our lady friends out there. I never really thought about the fact that you have to build a nest before you use the restroom. And it makes you think, if everyone built that nest, that would be the cleanest damn toilet in the country. I mean, but I thought that was funny, building a nest.
Oh man,
that is a nice choice of words. And I was thinking when you said do a small bit of commerce, whatever words you said, I'm paraphrasing maybe. So we're talking like the GDP of Seychelles versus the GDP of the United States.
Exactly. I was doing some, we don't want any of our listeners to be in that situation where they're, like the economy of the United States, like macroeconomics and international business. That would be horrible unless they just came from like a large Chinese buffet, and that would be international commerce, I guess. But
even if you're having to do Seychelles 10 rupees, you want it to be in a clean location. I think back at that came from a commercial. Do you remember that commercial where you could buy like the coins from the different countries? And
yeah,
the announcer guy would say, "And here's Seychelles 10 rupees."
Yes,
why that stuck in my mind.
And that would be right after the Slim Whitman commercial.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or the Roger Whittaker commercial.
Yes.
Or the Zamfir and his pan flute.
Yeah. Did you guys get the link I sent to you for the
I
Roger
did.
Whittaker cartoon? Yes.
You need to
I
put
did.
that up on the
There we
Facebook
go.
page too. All right, Brady, you're last.
Yes.
Funny, good, hard, deep, or weird?
Funny, good, hard, deep. Have we done good ones yet? I think that's the only
I don't-
untouched category.
I don't think we have done a good one yet.
Let's do a good
Let's
one.
do a good one.
A good one.
Good one. Okay. Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with my gut instinct. Definitely teleport. Definitely teleport. I mean, as I'm sitting here on a COVID quarantine, it's like, speaking of the Seychelles, you know what? I'm going to spend the afternoon on a beach in the Seychelles. Boom, there I am. Or I could be...
Better take some rupees with you.
I'll take some rupees, and hopefully there will be a clean restroom. No, I just, yeah, the teleporting would be amazing. Just think about it. Think about how easy life would be. You know, you could roll out of bed just before work. It's like, I don't have to drive. And there you go. You just teleport there. You want to go to a concert at Red Rocks in Colorado? Cha-ching. There I am. That's the easiest pie for me.
I get it.
What are you thinking,
Easy as
Todd?
pie. So what is it my turn? Are you
It
waiting?
is your turn.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't. I thought you were going to chime in there, Eric. My choices again are. Could you repeat them?
Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere
Okay.
or be able to read minds?
Man. I think. Okay. So teleporting anywhere to me would be very handy. But most of the places that I would probably teleport are places that I could go by other means. I could drive, I could fly, I could travel in some other way to get there. So I think I'm going to go with read minds, and I think that's my explanation. It's being able to teleport while being. I understand it. You're there quick. You're there, in a snap of a finger. But again, any place I could think of that I would teleport would be a place that I could probably get there if I were more patient. I could get there by in another way. But reading minds would be something completely unique.
So,
Okay.
what would be your ultimate mind reading? Where would you want to use it the most? Where are times that you wanted to use it the most?
I honestly think that first off, I think as an educator, I think mind reading would be very useful. You're always asking yourself as a teacher, kind of what are your kids thinking about? Maybe it's something that's, I think it would be you would be more helpful, I think, as a teacher if you knew what was on their mind. Now, granted, when you teach young enough kids, they tell you what's on their mind. They have no problem telling you what's on their mind. But I think as educators, which we all three are, I think reading someone's mind it can be very painful for us because we would also have to read the negatives, the things that people are thinking about us that they do not like. But I think that there are two situations where it could really help, and the first one being my job, and the second being my marriage, because I think that being able to read your significant other's mind could probably eliminate a high percentage of arguments and disagreements, and also you wouldn't have to have the annoying "where do you want to eat at?" No, you pick, or you pick, that kind of thing. Because,
I don't care.
Yeah, because when they say they don't care, and that they're really thinking they want to go to O'Charlie's, then it's not only would you know it, but you could also look really cool. Like, I was thinking O'Charlie's, and they're thinking, so glad he said O'Charlie's.
And not only say O'Charlie's, but the exact thing that they wanted O'Charlie's.
Yeah,
I'll bet if we went to O'Charlie's, you would have.
Yeah.
So now you're assuming, and I'll chime in on this now. You're assuming that I would still be an educator if I could read minds, because I think I could make infinitely more money doing something else if I could read everyone's mind.
True.
Now,
but you don't do that for the money.
No, it's altruistic. But
yeah,
what you said is a definite thing that went through my mind. You would also see the negatives, and you would also have a pretty good shot at being offended about what someone's thinking about you, but not telling you about you. So there's that
He's
hazard
wearing
to the whole
jorts.
thing.
I can't believe it.
Exactly. Something like that. Unless you're my son and you just come out and say it. But
you would have to have
other
thick
people
skin,
maybe-
is what you're saying, right? You'd definitely have to have some thick skin if you could read minds.
Initially, yes, but I think you could manipulate the situation to where it could work in your favor. Even if they're initially thinking something negative about you, you could manipulate the situation to work out.
Ah,
That sounds a little bit evil.
Evil,
like the
the
fruits.
fruits of the devil.
Todd, I want to kind of chime in that, where we could read our students' minds. I think some of my students think I can, because how many sentences don't you even think about doing that? And it's like, how did you know I was going to do that? So I think they think I'm a mind reader sometimes.
But again, if you could tell them exactly what they were going to do, that would be very effective. Like if they're thinking of throwing a paper wad across the room before they've even made the paper wad, and you look at them and say, "Don't you dare throw that paper wad."
Klaus, don't throw that paper wad, and Wilhelm,
that
put
would be-
down that eraser.
That would be instant classroom management right there. Just
Oh, man.
outstanding.
Excellent topic.
All right.
Excellent
very good
topic.
Fun.
All right, Todd, you're in the cleanup spot here.
All right,
you got?
I'll get right to it here. I was thinking about having a conversation, and I think this is something we've talked about over the years. A lot of our topics end up being things that we've talked about just in our own conversations over the years, but things that happen in movies or television that never ever happen in real life, and it doesn't matter how realistic the movie's supposed to be, they will still throw in those things that just never happened to us in real life. At least never happened to me. And I'll start out with one, and then I have several here. I do have a list that we could go to if time allows. But the first one that comes to my mind, and it's funny that because my wife and I were watching a movie, I think 2 nights ago, and this exact thing happened in the movie. And it was a new movie, so it's still happening. And that is when someone walks into a bar and goes up to the bartender and says, "Yeah, I'll have a beer." And the bartender does not say, do you want a Miller Lite? Do you want a Coors Light? Do you want a Bud? Do you want, any number, of these beers? There's so many beers now. They just get him a beer. No other questions asked. They get him a beer. They slide it down to them. That's another thing. It slides down to them, and they always catch it perfectly. Or not just beer, any drink. I'll have a whiskey, bourbon on the rocks, please, or something. And they never ask what type of beer, what type of bourbon, what type of whiskey. Never ever happens in real life. Anytime I've ever ordered an alcoholic beverage, they always want to know specifically which beverage I want.
Because every hole in the wall bar nowadays has 382 craft beer flavors.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just say, "Hey, give me a beer." That just is very inadequate to the situation.
Much more information needed.
And have you guys seen that in movies before?
Oh, gosh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's a pretty common.
In fact, I've even seen it done.
And to qualify that, it's got to be a bar where they haven't been before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Norm from Cheers walking in and say, "Give me a beer." I mean, they're going to know what beer Norm drinks, but
But even Cheers, they only had one flavor or one beer, one
One tap.
one tap.
Yeah.
It's like the old generic sign, the black and white, the white sign with black beer.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time we were? No, it's still up. I think between Ripley, Ohio, and Aberdeen, Ohio, there used to be a place. In the sign, there was no name. It just said liquor. That's all it says. It doesn't say you could buy. It just says liquor. Like, I'm not sure what goes on in this building, but it involves liquor, I guess.
Guess so. Yeah.
All right,
Now,
gentlemen,
have you ever gone in there to figure out? You should go
Not
in and say,
by
"Hey,
looking at this place. No,
You should go there and just say, "I'll take some liquor.
I'll take some liquor."
I'll take
Large
some
liquor,
liquor.
please.
see what they give you
Yeah.
Medium liquor, please."
Oh,
in a sippy cup.
well, I've always those. This is a big time. This is a big time rabbit hole, but I always hated stores that were that would say, like, let's say it was cars and more, or if it was a pizza and more, and I always wanted to go, I would like some more, please. I would like a large more, because that always irritated me. But anyway, sorry.
Now you have gotten off in a rabbit hole because you say large, and that takes me to places that have medium and large sizes of things, and they only have two sizes.
Yeah.
So medium by definition should be small.
It should be.
Because that's the smallest thing they offer.
Or
medium, large, and extra large, some of them say.
Or
that makes no sense.
Or they say regular.
That was a
large.
tangent. I'm sorry. I took away your topic there. I just kind of went down a rabbit hole.
Completely fine.
But I do have something to add to this if we're done with the whole give me a beer thing.
I am done, yes.
Okay, so whenever you're watching a movie, and this has happened multiple times over multiple movies, someone calls another character. One character calls another and says, hey, turn on the TV. So the character turns on the TV to the exact point in the newscast where it's showing what the other character wanted them to see.
How convenient.
Never mind that when we were growing up, before we got cable TV in Sardinia, Ohio in 1984, that we had only basically 5 channels. Still, if you only had 5 channels, it would take you some time to get to the right channel and the right newscast. Now, in today's world where you have 785 channels, how are you going to turn on to the correct newscast, not to mention being the proper place in the newscast to see what I'm supposed to see?
Wait a minute, Eric. I'm on Univision.
You got to wonder, these are intelligent people that make movies.
Yeah. Well, you assume.
Well, are they not? I mean, do they know that and just don't care? Is it too much work to work around that? You know what I mean? Like, does the continuity or of the scene is that more important than addressing what you're talking about there?
Or why couldn't the dialogue just be one character saying to the other, hey, guess what I saw on Channel 3 News about you?
Yeah, yeah.
The same thing could be achieved.
Yeah, I agree. I see that a lot.
Of course, it could be us overthinking things. But
well, that's what we do here.
all right.
We do overthink.
Brady, you got one to add to the list?
Well, I'm going to go to, because I'm a music guy. Have you ever seen those movies where they will approach a band member, like someone's like, hey, play us a song. And the band people know exactly what to play for that moment. Like if he's about ready to woo his lady friend, the band person knows exactly to play a slow song. But if he's wanting to cut a rug and, get a little bit jiggy on the dance floor, they know to play the fast, raucous song. So it's just like these band members in these movies have mystical powers that they know exactly what to play. Or like, play us our song. Okay.
Yeah.
And they hit it.
And you know as well as I do that if someone were to come up to me or you or in a band and say, hey, play something slow, I want to slow it, if we're going to play like Baby Got Back or something, we're going to do something to be smart Alex. That's the way bands are. You're not going to be like, okay, we're going to change everything around now to play a song that we might not even know or we might not be able to play well, to.
And they'll throw it in like, being in the band thing, doing that. If you're in the middle of your dance song, your party set, and somebody says, play us a slow song, it's like, well, just hold on. I'd say out of 100 times that I was asked to play a slow song, 2 out of those 100 times was the timing right. And I got to say, coming right up, ma'am, and here it was coming. And I was only a hero twice out of 100.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole new topic we could talk about there as well. Like, people hearing your band and hearing the kind of music you're doing and asking for something that is completely just not even in the same ballpark. You know,
Yeah, we're there in our parachute pants and skinny ties, and they're saying like, "Play Molly Hatchet," something like that. Fog hat.
Here's another one that I've noticed that kind of bugs me is you'll see it. It's the morning. It's before school work, and it's usually the mother in the movies. It's, I guess, this the old fashioned. The mom makes breakfast for the son or the daughter, and they come downstairs, and there's this full pancakes, eggs, bacon, toast, fresh squone, orange juice, and the mom's like, "Oh, you going to have some breakfast?" And the kid's like, "I got to run, Mom. I don't have time." And I'll just grab a piece of toast, and they grab a piece of toast and run out the door. That is unrealistic. First off, if my mom is making that breakfast for me, or my dad is making that breakfast for me, and I run out the door with just a piece of toast without even sniffing the food that was made for me, I probably would have been forcefully brought back into the house to eat the breakfast.
They would have wielded that waffle like a shuriken and nailed you right before you walked out the door and like bonked you in the head.
Yeah. What kind of kids are this disrespectful, though, to where you're going to make that breakfast for them and they're just going back, "I got to run"?
Now, not to mention the fact, and I'm totally just speaking for myself here, but I grew up in a house where both of my parents worked.
Uh-huh.
So it was not a normal occurrence to get the 5-course breakfast. Matter of fact, it was never a normal occurrence to get the 5-course breakfast. Just didn't happen. In these movies, it seems as though it's a everyday occurrence where the 5-course breakfast is made. Do these people not have leftovers? Are they wasting that much money on food? Because I just don't see it.
That also kind of goes into another, along the same lines, you see in a lot of movies that never happens, and that is this calm morning routine of, they have all the time in the world before work, before school. What household is doing that? I mean, it's a madhouse in the Griffin home in the morning, trying to get everybody ready and out the door. And, but in the movies, they must wake up 4 or 5 hours before they have to do anything. Yet the sun's out, and everything's peachy and very unrealistic in most modern homes.
School starts like at noon or something. So I have one to add.
Okay.
If we've exhausted that breakfast topic,
I have.
How many movies have you seen where a character is thrown through a plate glass window and ends up bloody?
I mean, I know if I would go through a plate glass window, I would probably end up severing my femoral artery and spurting all over the place. Like, these guys get thrown through the glass and, it's just like they shake it off and stand up and, limp off and they're fine. There's not even a mark.
Well, even if the going through the window part doesn't get you, it seems like landing on the ground on top of the glass part would get you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not talking safety glass here.
No. Well,
no.
In the real world, it would not be safety glass. That's correct. So how many have you ever seen anyone come through a window bloody or end up bloody after going through a window?
No.
I'm thinking of a couple action movies and I could be thinking of where like windows get blown up and people are a little bit nicked up and bloody from glass fragments, but those people that are thrown through the window, they always seem to just pop right up, no worse for wear.
Yeah, never bloody enough.
Never bloody enough.
And action movies, I think, in general, have so much that's just unrealistic about them. Brady, you want to chime in there?
Yeah, and it's kind of related to the glass thing. I mean, we've always joked, and well, we do the Dukes of Hazzard thing, like when the car would jump, it would go like 3 stories in the air, over 3 football fields, and the nose of the car is coming down at a 90-degree angle, but yet in the scene they just like they're hitting a little speed bump. It's like,
and sometimes there was an editing issue where you would actually see the car hit the ground and you would see the frame bend.
Oh yeah,
and the scene immediately cuts to where They're just going down the road, like you said, they hit a speed bump or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've knocked my car out of alignment, hitting a pothole with the soccer field, and let alone not jumped 3 buses to get away from corrupt police, and not driven off without a scratch. It just the angle it comes down, it's just impossible. Or in bar fights, when they get hit by a chair, somebody picks up the chair and hits somebody with it over the head, and it just crumples like it's made of styrofoam. I don't know about you, but I've been hit by chairs before accidentally, and they don't give. They did not break.
How do you accidentally get hit by a chair?
It's an interesting story. I'm trying to think of what it was set up. It was set up for some kind of event, and I remember being in my early 20s, and I was helping move chairs. Well, somebody had the chair up kind of over their head, and they were like setting it down and twisting at the same time, and didn't know that I was in the path. I guarantee you that I was hit with almost bar fight force, but that chair, I can vouch, did not crumble apart. I did.
Here's one that was on the list. If we're ready to add another one, and I know this is something I'm going to read it right from the list because I can't put it any better than what it is written here. It says fluid, witty, and well-rounded dialogue where the characters never do stuff like pause, mumble, hesitate, miss a reference, have nothing to say, etc. I think the dialogue, and I think it's gotten worse. I think dialogue in movies is completely unrealistic, specifically among like younger people. And I'm not being an ageist here. Again, we're educators. We talk with young people, and even into their teenage years, young adult years. The dialogue in movies that are starring, like the cast is a young cast. It's supposed to, they're young people in the movie. It's just very unbelievable and unrealistic that they always have the perfect thing to say. They're all witty. Everyone is witty in the movie, and it's just perfectly presented. Again, no pauses, no hiccups, nothing in it. And it's just not very realistic.
Too clean.
You guys notice that?
Not language-wise, just too clean.
Yeah.
The first show that I can think of that comes to mind that fits that description, and this might be unfair, but the TV show Friends.
I knew that's exactly what I was thinking.
Because, I remember when that first came out, Eric, you were in my mom's basement. We were laughing about it because the dialogue was witty and fast paced. Those first couple seasons, it was something different, but that became the realistic expectation of how people talk, and then it's really not.
Yeah, I agree. Don't get me wrong, I love Friends.
The joke that sticks in my mind, and I know where I was when I heard it. I was sitting in your dad's recliner, and it was someone goes up to Chandler and says, "Guess what?" And Chandler goes, "The fifth dentist cave. Now they all recommend Trident."
Or my favorite one, where he references, you mean like the obnoxious sister from What's Happening? Like it was a reference to Dee, the one that was always. But that was the one that always cracked me up. Anyway.
Okay, so I have one to add here.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have one to add. Every time the main character in a scene or in the movie goes to a place, whatever that place could be, the market, could be a hotel, could be a sporting event at a big arena, they always find a spot right in the front.
You mean a parking spot?
A parking spot, yes, always. Right in the front.
And without having to circle for a half hour.
Yes. Just pull right into the spot.
That is true.
That is true.
I hadn't even really thought about that one. I've noted, yeah. Unrealistic.
And it's like the spot had been purposely saved for it, and there's no signage there that says reserved parking. I mean, it's just a regular old parking spot, and just they pull right in. And the rest of the spots are full. But this one just happens to be open. And I have cursed Kroger that they have changed their parking lot. Now I can't get the parking spots that I used to get. So it's like a great thing when I can get the parking spot I want, but the people in the movies always pull into the parking spot in the front. that's been reserved for them without any signage saying so.
Yeah. And again, it's and a lot of these, like we've said about overthinking, maybe again, these are for continuity. Maybe they're for, it would, but they should at least allude to the fact that the person had to wait for the parking spot or drive around the parking lot for 10 minutes before finding it. Like I thought we would never get this spot. Just throw that in there. And at least it becomes realistic. You don't have to show me them circling for 10 minutes.
Indeed.
Brady, you got anything to add there? Or?
No, I'm just amazed that I've really never thought of this before. But Eric, you're right. That's just never jumped out at me. But now that you said it, it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Here's one I just noticed. If you guys don't mind me chiming in with this, dreaming of kissing a beautiful woman, but are actually being licked by an animal. Now I don't have any movies. I don't have any movies that jump in my head, but I know I've seen that multiple times in movies, and I can honestly say it's never happened.
Long Duck Dong in 16 Candles. Am I right?
Yes.
The donger.
Yes, you are right. I never thought that Mr. Dong would make an episode. So I do have a quick story, and we have to be getting close on time, but this reminds me, she's going to kill me for telling this story, but it's worth it. So when Say and I, we were first married, we lived at our very first house in Sardinia there, and she woke up in the middle of the night one night, and this is her telling the story after the next morning when she told me about it. She woke up, and she had something in her hand that she was gripping, and she was holding it like really, really tight to like where her hand, she woke herself up gripping this really tight, and she thought she had a dream that she was holding M&Ms in her hand, peanut M&Ms in her hand. And she woke up and she sure enough was holding something in her hand, and she like opens her hand, and like kind of as she opens her hand, she smells it, that it is dog feces. We had a new puppy. We got a new puppy, and she was sleeping in the bed with us. This puppy was, and it had apparently had some intestinal. Brady, what's your term?
Intestinal distress. It had conducted its commerce.
It conducted its commerce in bed, and Celia had, in the middle of the night, had grabbed them, thinking they were peanut M&Ms apparently from. And but she once she realized what they, and this is what woke me up. This is the part where I woke up. She just set up and threw them across the room. These two dog pellets. Yeah. And all I could think was, you just be glad you didn't eat the M&Ms in your dream. So
I gotta ask, did it hit a fan when she threw it?
Wah, wah, wah.
The chances are
He's here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
There just happened to be one. How perfect would that be?
The last thing I heard the buzzer go. We can't end this topic without talking about, with all of us taking a turn talking about this, and that is how unrealistic. That's the best way to say it. Love-making scenes are in movies. Whoopi. How unrealistic Whoopi is in movies.
Tell us about it, Bob Eubanks.
There's just not much realistic about it, and it hasn't gotten any better. I mean, it was definitely noticeable back in the day, but it hasn't really gotten any better. It's either over romanticized or under romanticized. There's no awkwardness to it. Not once has unless it's a comedy movie, but not once has a man ever, tripped over his boxers and then hit his head on the corner of the dresser, that kind of thing, or just got his foot caught in his boxers and did the stupid dance across the room, making him completely unappealing and ruining any mood that was possibly set before said underwear issue. And that's just one of many things at the top of my head, but they don't do them right. They're not realistic. What say you guys?
I will not expound upon this, only as to say I will say about that what I said about the dialogue. Too clean.
Too clean.
Too clean.
I always think about the scene from the older movie. It's I can't remember the actor and actress. It might have been Burt Lancaster, but like From Here to Eternity, when they're embraced.
Are you 87 years old?
It's a famous scene.
I honestly have never, ever seen a movie or watched a movie with Burt Lancaster in it.
Well, I haven't seen it. It's just this is an iconic scene when they're embracing on the beach and the water's coming in on them. And, of course, it was the 40s or 50s, so no whoopee was shown, but it was implied. But, whenever I see this famous scene, it's like, hey, I've sat along the ocean. There's crustaceans and mollusks and everything washing up your shorts. Or, and that's not a pleasant or comfortable, I just don't think it was too clean and too romanticized. It's all fun and games till somebody, gets a sand crab crawling on their rear end or something.
Well, not to mention the sand itself, where that might end up.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You have sand.
Where would it end up, Eric?
Various and sundry places on one's body.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were going to say like Cleveland.
Could have a sand louse. Could have all kinds of things in the. Well, and back to the awkwardness in the actual. How many times have you seen a passionate couple, burst through the door? They've been out on their date or wherever they've been, and they burst through the door, and everything's just right, and they're rolling around on the bed, and the music's playing, and they roll off the bed, and they look at each other with this cute little, look what we just did, and they laugh, and then they go about conducting their commerce in a different way than Brady.
Whoa, wrong metaphor. I didn't see that.
That's a different kind of movie.
Sorry. But anyway, they go right back. you need to watch the unedited Team America. But anyway, they go right back to it. Now, you guys, first off, I guess it depends on your age, but I'm not old. But at 43, if I fall off a bed, chances are I'm pinching something against something. I'm hurt. I'm chafing. The chafing could be awful.
You broke a hip,
Margaret. I'm stoving something. Yeah. Never thought about stovation.
Yeah, well, it could be somewhat innocuous, or it could be very hazardous, depending on what you stove.
Something could become swole.
Swole.
Yeah, or something could get hung up on the bed, falling down, and the rest of you fall while it doesn't. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could.
All kinds of possibilities, and none are good.
No.
Not to be laughed off with a cute little ha ha ha. Let's recommence.
Yeah, it's definitely over at that point.
Yes,
including life in some cases.
And probably it's the man's fault. Whatever happened, it's whatever caused it to be over. It's the man's fault.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that to our female listeners. I apologize.
I'm assuming you're watching a lot of Lifetime movies, Eric.
Yeah. Were you watching My Fall?
See, I gave you a nice little out there, Eric. I helped you out, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Fair or false, it's The Burning Bed. What's on my movie list? With that, that's my transitional phrase. With that, we'll call it an evening. 3 good topics there. I thought a good conversation. Hope you all enjoyed it and appreciate it. And as always, again, to go down the list of places you can find us, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, among others. Our main webpage, anchor.fm/playitbyearpodcast, where you can leave us a voice message, which we will insert into our podcast directly. Also, you can find us on Facebook, Play It By Ear Podcast. You can search it there. On Twitter, at Play It By Ear Pod with the number 2 on the end. That's all of our locations you can find us.
Well, here's Eric,
Todd.
if I can add something to that real quick, because I've had a few people ask me to, how they can hear the podcast. And I always tell them, obviously, they can go right to the Anchor website, like you mentioned. But, and I don't mean to push one outlet over another, but I do know Spotify. I've had some people ask me about, does it cost? And Spotify has a couple options, and one of the options is a free their free version, and you can hear our podcast using the free version. You do not have to pay. I think
you just get commercials or something, don't you?
Yeah, there may be some advertisements in there, but you don't have to pay the. Now I love Spotify, so to me it's worth it. But if you would never use Spotify for anything else, then just go with the free one, and you can listen to it on your phone. Pretty much anywhere you are, you'd be able to use Spotify. And I'm sure the other outlets are the same way. That just happens to be the one that I'm the most familiar with.
And I can vouch for iHeartRadio being the same way, and that's free version as well. Google Podcasts and Apple, I assume, is. I don't have an iPhone, but I think that is as well. So
we don't want you paying your hard-earned money with things the way they are to hear our podcast. We want to bring you pleasure for free.
Exactly. I don't know if we're worth paying for, but with that, thank you, gentlemen. And again, we appreciate you all listening, and we will bring episode 12 to you in short order.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Play It By Ear podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter at Play It By Ear Pod 2, and our website at anchor.fm/Play It By Ear podcast. Thanks again, and join us next time as we play it by ear.